he's back from his North American travels, and I managed to twist Tom's arm to make a return appearance on Goldfinger Capital. Hey, Tom, how are you?
Hey, Rob, thanks for having me. Yeah, just getting over well, it's been a couple of weeks now, but I had terrible jet lag, and yeah. When I'm traveling, I feel like things happen in the markets, right? And then I'm not concentrate on it. I can't.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah,
I feel you. Yeah, this is actually a real thing. This is a real thing. So whenever I'm traveling, especially I'm usually either going way ahead in time frame. So I'm going to Europe, but going 6 hours ahead, or I'm going 3 hours back to the West Coast, right? So then I have to either wake up really early to read news releases, like 4 or 5 a.m., or I'm staying up till midnight in Europe, right? Which I'm sure you know all about. So my sleep schedule is wrecked.
There are guys, like Vukasin, there are guys that just stay up all night so they can catch Australia as well, right? So by the time Canada closes and then Australia opens at 2 a.m., I think it is, and some guys want to catch that. That's not for me.
Hold on, it's 2 a.m. your time in Europe?
For Australia, yeah. For the ASX Open.
For the ASX Open, okay.
Yeah. I do like being in Toronto, right? Because you can kind of cover Australia. Obviously, the venture opens at 9:30, right? So it's pretty cushy, and maybe Toronto's the best place to be.
Toronto's pretty good, yeah. Vancouver's pretty good too, but you just have to go to bed by 9 p.m. and get up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. every morning.
That's what they do in Perth. That's what they do in Perth relatedly. A lot of the funds are in Perth for obvious reasons, and then but the market opens. There's a 2 or 3 hour gap, right? So everyone's got to be at their seat at 7 a.m.
But Perth is kind of like being in San Francisco in the U.S., where you can be done with work at 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon, right?
And actually, that's why I don't know if you've been into in the city at 5 p.m. St. George's Terrace is like a ghost town. Everyone leaves. They go to the beach. They go do their. A lot of people have families. It's a very family-oriented town.
One place I have to go to is Perth. I think that's definitely in my top 3 places I haven't been to yet. So Perth is definitely on the list.
Yeah, no, for you it would make sense. Just tee it up when there's a conference on, and then you can see some awesome stuff.
Absolutely. So speaking of conferences, so we were both at Beaver Creek. I saw you took a picture with our friend Al, and we both kind of went into the Beaver Creek vortex, and somehow we evaded each other for 4 days.
Well, I think the week before you had the spaces that I joined, and you were like, "Fuck yeah, man! I'll see you at Beaver Creek," and then didn't even see you. Yeah.
So what happens to me at Beaver Creek, especially this time, is I scheduled too many meetings, and I always forget how crazy and hectic it gets. So I had over 30 meetings.
Oh wow!
And especially like Tuesday, Wednesday, it was just nonstop. It was I didn't have time to breathe really. And then by 6 p.m., I just want to get dinner and lay down. Like I don't. I think the old version of me, maybe like 5 years ago, might have gone out and drank till 10 or 11. But this newer version, this older version, is like, no, you're tired. Just chill out. Yeah.
Well, you were smarter than me. There was one night where a few characters twisted my arm to stay up for too long. It was I would say the ringmaster was Craig Hart from the Chairman of Snowline, and when a guy like that says you're having another beer, you got to do it. He's a geologist as well, so it's actually a privilege to be able to spend time with people like that.
It is. I mean, what's crazy is there's all these amazing people in one place for 5 days, and it's overload. It's sensory overload, and we only have so much attention. And there are those situations where a certain person grabs you and then orders you a double, and you just can't say no, and then you're done. You're done. You're done.
Yeah. No, there was about half an hour there where we had Francis McDonald, Dustin Perry, Craig Hart, and there were people just coming and going at a table on the back balcony there. So just all super technical, super successful, super interesting people. Yeah, I loved it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So we did manage to miss each other there, but you also went on some other site visits, I heard.
Yeah, I went. So prior to Beaver Creek, I was up at a private copper project run by Sean Zubik, Tundra. Extremely exciting, very remote. I flew from Yellowknife, not Yellowstone, Yellowknife to essentially to the camp. It's the closest kind of real town is Kugluktuk, but we can land on the project on a gravel strip. So we were up there for 2 nights. Had the massive privilege of spending 2 days on the call with Quentin Henning and Tavi Costa and Sean and Riley Keats. So that was great fun, and the local geological team, they're just knocking it out of the park. All heli supported, so choppers flying around, outcropping bornite, beautiful. It's if you just assayed that one, these massive bornite rock chips, it would probably assay 30% copper. Super exciting. So yeah, that was Tundra. And then I made my way down from Yellowknife to Calgary to Denver. I was there sort of Monday through Thursday. I think I took off Thursday. And then had a couple of days in Toronto, just sort of cooling my heels, catching up with people there. And then I went to Cisco, which is Q2's massive lithium discovery. Yeah, that was really exciting as well. That's in Quebec. So we flew to is it Matagami? How do you pronounce it? Matagami, and then onto the project. You can drive from Matagami on the Billy Diamond Highway, and we had choppers flying around there as well. The Canadian Mining House guys, they're great. They have their own chopper, and in the back of the chopper, there's a coffee machine. So the guys made us a coffee, and then being Canada, they snuck in a shot of maple syrup whiskey, which was delicious.
Oh man!
It was like kind of having an Irish coffee in the middle of nowhere. Run on they have this sort of portable battery and a coffee machine. That was fun. I was surprised how bloody French Montreal is. I've been there.
Oh yeah.
I've been there as a kid, but they take the whole France thing super serious.
They take it super seriously. They're different from the rest of Canada, Tom.
Crazy. I loved it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a European city, so it's not like Calgary or it's a European city, Montreal.
No, you can see even in the architecture, it's different. The way that they dress different. They dress like French people. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely want to be different from the rest of the country, but they're stuck. They're stuck as part of Canada. Okay, cool. So
not a civil war.
no, there was so in the 90s, this was a very real thing. Separation from the rest of Canada, the French speaking against everybody else. It was a very real thing, and there were a lot of fights in Parliament over this, and finally they succumbed and said, okay, we'll stay apart. But then Canada had to acknowledge that French is a national language, and they say everything twice, once in English and then in French.
I noticed like on the cereal boxes and everything, it's all got to be French.
Yeah, everything is, well, that's Canada. We have to acknowledge and respect everybody and everybody's heritage, right? So anyway, moving on to some companies and some drill results. A lot to get to. We could talk about San Lorenzo, which we will, Hercules, Andina, maybe even Sterling Metals or QTWO, like you mentioned that you visited, Prospector But what's topical this morning, I just saw this at the corner of my eye. Rackla is out with initial assay results from the 2025 drill program on the grad property. And just by the first paragraph, oh, this is a cringe. Results from the first 3 holes failed to return any continuity of the mineralization discovered at surface and did not intersect any significant gold. Oh my God, that's a brutal first opener. And then I look at the assay table, and this is, oh, wow.
That's bad. And they drilled a lot of holes. So, yeah, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of soul searching there. So, look, I must admit, when I saw the beautiful maps with all that high density quartz veining, I did reach out to some folks that understand intrusion related gold. And they said, look, there's no VG in it. Yeah. So that's kind of the guide. And you see that, you saw that in Snowline, and you're seeing that now at Sitka, their Rhosgobel project. They're getting a lot of VG. They're getting the high density sheeted veins, as well as the VG. So, yeah, I guess, you know, I wish all these companies all the best. I want more discoveries to be made, but yeah, you just got to be very careful about buying on visuals, right?
Yeah, like we learned this lesson in the sector over and over again. And I'll be honest, so with Rackla, back in July, I had like 3 or 4 guys pounding the table on this.
A lot of incoming.
Yeah, saying you gotta get into Rackla. This is fantastic. You know, this is the next snow line, right? So that's kind of the sales pitch. It's the next.
That's what they all say, isn't it? And there's a couple drilling up there now. I'm using that pitch.
So I actually ended up buying this before Beaver Creek, but then when one of the guys said, "Hey, their assays are going to be soon," and then Beaver Creek came and went, and then the next week came and went, and I said, "Uh-oh, I've seen this movie before." I sold, yeah. So I got in and out. Thank God I got out.
I guess if they, you know, it looks like they batched everything. So they've released all holes at once. So I guess if they had a hit, they would have been really pushing to at least get one good hole out into the Beaver Creek rock.
So they're basically, the end of this news release, they're pointing to hole 10, which is convenient because that was the last hole drilled. So that's going to take a while to get hole 10 unless they rushed it, but they don't. They just say the company expects the remaining results, you know, within the coming weeks. Well, you know, whatever that means, you know, the next month. So yeah, this one's probably going to sell off to 20 cents, 25 cents, I would guess. And yeah,
I'm looking at the level 2 depth. It's probably going to open at 21 cents from yesterday's close at 87.
Yeah, so down 75%. Yeah, so it's a great lesson. So buying on visual. So why are so many people so content to hype on visuals?
Yeah, I guess starting, I don't even know how long ago. I mean, PXRFs have kind of been around most of my career. It was certainly a very primitive tool around 2004, 2005 when I was, you know, literally on the core, logging core. And we had these guns, we would zap things to help us, you know, just help confirm the logging, right? So these things, they can't really analyze for gold, but certainly for copper, if you're seeing a lot of chalcopyrite or, you know, a lot of copper sulfides, and you're seeing a lot of mineralization and you're getting PXRF, I think that's probably okay to release. That's what, I mean, the rule is if you're holding market sensitive information, right? So how material is the information? I guess visuals, if you can PXRF and it's the right commodity, the base metals generally, then that should probably be reported if you're strictly following ASX and TSX rules about materiality. But if it's just like quartz vein counts, a few specks of pyrite, yeah, you just don't know, right? Just wait for assays.
Especially with gold. Yeah, so you made an excellent point. So they're seeing the sheeted quartz veins, the bismuth, which they really played up. Bismuth is the pathfinder. But if we use the Sitka and Snowline formula, well, they also had quite a bit of VG in all those great holes that they drilled. So when you're not seeing the VG, you have a key ingredient that's absent.
Recently, I was always positive Sitka, but I've recently become, wildly bullish. So Rhosgobel for me was always going to be the pick of the targets. I think they were being a bit promotional in drilling. They continue to drill blackjack, and I did say to management in my meetings with them, come on, you had one hole, you had one good hole, 100 gram meter hole at Rhosgobel. Why don't you stick some more holes in there? And then this season they've hammered it. I've got a model. Do you want me to pull it up for Sitka?
Sure.
So they've hammered it this year, and it looks really good. And I could sort of see, I don't know, I think my model's as big as 100 million tons already, assuming all the VG hits, which is never guaranteed. What's it called? The RC project, isn't it?
RC Gold Project. Rackla, 19 cents.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, market just open. All right, how do I do this now? RC, there we go, share. You see that, Rob?
Yep.
So what you got is cluster of holes here. That represents 230 meters of strike, and they got 2 hits of VG there, but they've got lots of good VG hits up here on hole, I guess that's hole 21, drilling back that way, and that represents over 800 meters of strike. And like we've been saying today already, that if that's all mineralized to the extent of this first batch, there's some serious tonnage being put together in Rhosgobel. So yeah, 100 million tons at a gram would probably be enough. It's got some infrastructure advantages. It's
100 million tons at a gram, so we're talking about over 3 million ounces, and that's going to be an open pit.
Yeah, that could be pitable as well, right? I mean, it's extremely early days, but it just sort of shows why I'm bullish. Sitka, even though the market cap's is already 500 million, so they're making an interesting discovery. It's not Snowline, let's be honest. Snowline is really 2 grams. It's almost 10 million ounces, but let's call it 3 million ounces at a gram at open pitable. It's a super start.
And that's just one, zone they have there at that project. They have multiple intrusions, and probably the area over by Blackjack and Saddle is probably another pit, right?
Yeah. So Blackjack and Saddle and Igar, can you see those ones?
Yeah.
They're up here. So they don't have quite as good geometry. So they're up on a hill, yeah. And then you can see Blackjack's kind of like let me turn the topography back off. It's kind of like
it goes deep. Yeah.
It goes deep, right? So it's 300 meters wide by 700 meters deep, right? So it's not an easy pit. Yeah, you might go pit and then go underground. Igar looks a bit small, which we kind of knew about. Not 444,000 ounces, 440,000 ounces, and then whatever that is. So what's that? 1.3 at Blackjack. So Rhosgobel could be already bigger than those. And like you said, there's more targets. Big Creek, Bear Paw, Barney. So lots of work to do there. Extremely experienced team. They know the Yukon.
Yeah, Sitka is a really good one, and they've come into their own here in 2025. I mean, the results they're seeing are a step change from prior years.
Exactly.
Okay, Rackla, Sitka, Prospector. So this is another Yukon one. And I want you to teach me something, Tom. What is this? Is this a reduced intrusion gold deposit? Is this a skarn copper gold thing, or what's going on there?
Yeah. I think it's a skarn. So they've got Mike Lake. Is it ML? Is Mike Lake or something? It's as new to me as the rest of, or most of the rest of the people. So I knowing that you'd probably ask about it, I stuck some things together. Again, I probably would have grabbed some on open, but it just really ran away. I think it opened at 82 cents. World-class hit, unbelievable hit. They've got about 30 or 40 million shares that are now in the money in warrants. That's going to raise them 10 million. This is my thought process last week. I think it was Thursday. So they got all those warrants are going to be flooding into the market, and now they've shut up shop, except for one more hole. They've shut up shop for the winter. So what does it look like, kind of in 3D? Yeah. I got all the historical Mike Lake or North Vein drilling. Yeah, it was a bit of a mission because it was across. There were multiple coordinate systems, but I managed to get it all what as good as I could into NAD 1983, which was what they were publishing their maps in. So I think the reason I'm bringing it up is my mapping's not very accurate. I certainly don't have surveys and all that stuff. So what they're saying is they've got this North Vein, kind of a known area, and they've hit what they're calling the test zone, right? So the test zone is this northern trend, and the known thing they're calling North Vein. Test is north of the North Vein. Okay, so it's fine. I mean, wonderful hit. You can see the headlines there: 44 at 13 gold and 1.8 copper. World-class hit for sure. You asked if it was a skarn or intrusion related. We don't really know. Historically, they had North Vein logged as a skarn, and you can just see, here's ignoring this good hit here, you can just see the continuity is a bit challenged, right? 7 meters at 0.4, 11 meters at 0.7, 3 meters at 12, right? So that's a good hit. And what they were doing is they were, let me turn off my modeling. They were vectoring in from this is the previous best hole, North Vein, 2006, hole 17. That thing got a very respectable 17 meters at 5.5. Yeah, can you see that?
Yeah.
So they confirmed that hit. Yeah. In their hole, they also got 7 meters at 5. That's about 30 meters away. But they hit this upper zone, or this more northern zone that they're now calling TESS. And they're saying that the trend based on the alteration footprint represented by mapping jarosite. Jarosite is an oxide mineral that you get after sulfides. So if you weather sulfides like pyrite and arsenopyrite, these gold bearing minerals, if you weather them, it leaves oxide mineral called jarosite. So I said, okay, that's fair enough. And then you can kind of see all the historical hits. Again, 9 at a gram, 17 at 1.8. So these hits are all starting to line up in a structure. The structure, they're calling it subvertical. I've got it kind of dipping north. You can see what I'm trying to do when I'm mapping these structures is just create this gray plane and have it intersecting as many of these intercepts as I can on a single plane. So I think that, you know, that gray structure there basically captures as many of those hits as I can. And I've got it dipping slightly north. Management won't like that because it's infers that they've drilled down the dip. And you can kind of see that there. So now,
so you think that they did drill down the dip there?
It's too early to say. It's more bullish if they didn't, right?
Right, of course.
Well, what they're saying is it's subvertical, and so it doesn't matter from what direction you drill. And I accept that. I accept that argument at this stage, right? So anyway, I modeled using my structure. And you can see it's created a zone, you know, 1, 2, 3 good hits. It merges, they're quite close. Just because of the vagaries of implicit modeling, it does actually merge the PES and the north vein zones. And now I'm looking at that, going, okay, this thing. Have you got your CEOCA up there? It's like fully diluted 200 million market cap. Is that right?
Oh, fully diluted. Yeah.
So you got to add the 30 million shares. So
yeah, you're right. You're right.
So
there's a lot of warrants out there. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's how they're going to get their 10 million bucks. So then I go, okay, well, what is this for 200 million bucks? What am I buying? It's like I made a block model. With the block model, I can say, all right, give me everything above 0.5 gram, and I'm going to use a specific gravity of 2.6. That's a kind of crustal. That's a kind of crustal SG. The rock is 2.6 times the weight of water, and that would come out at 2.3 million tons at 2 grams. So for me, given that we're not going to get any more results until June, I've decided to, you know, revisit this one post PDAC. So
it's a little pricey, Tom.
Yeah. So I'm going to get pushback on that because everyone's extremely bullish on the story. I mean, everyone has their different investing styles, right? And there's certainly some people that are in it now, and they're biased, they're incentivized, they want to get that thing pumped.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dealing with this 9-month wait with another one of mine, you know, which is Kingfisher. It's tough. It's tough when the drill program ends on a cliffhanger, a great hole or a hole that gives a lot of information as to where to go next. And then we wait.
Gotta wait till June.
It's brutal, but I guess they've got a lot of traction now. This is going to carry, you know, into next year. But I'll tell you from experience, even with a great intercept like that, when January and February roll around, people forget, their attention span drops, and so this will be a full-time job for the Prospector guys to keep this story hyped and engaged.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a bit cynical to say, but you know, they're probably looking at their bank account, you know, saying that the 10 million warrants is coming in plus whatever, you know, let's say they had $1 million cash, so they're at 11. If I'm them, I'm looking at that 200 million market cap. I'm probably going to hit the market for 10 or 15 million as well, right? Just on the, you know, eventuality that, you know, gold price goes down or whatever, because then you're funded for a couple of years of hard exploration. I totally agree. This needs more work. So yeah, might as well tap the markets while there's momentum in the stock.
I mean, if the fully diluted market cap is nearly 200 million, tapping the market for 10 or 15 million warrants is not that much. Yeah.
And it just certainly seems like there's demand there for it.
Oh, for sure there is. For sure there is. It's a bull market, Tom. It's a bull market. All right, so Prospector, that's a good one. We talked about Rackla. San Lorenzo. Okay, so I'm going to be the devil's advocate guy in this conversation because we can't both be bulls.
Can't be both bullish. That's
yeah. So San Lorenzo, I'm going to say the stock has run a lot. It's priced in all the good news here. What say you?
No. Again, what's the market cap? 45, 50?
It's almost 60 now, I think.
60? Yeah. So this thing,
62.
62, there you go. So this thing's so big and so good. I'm still saying it's cheap at those levels, even in a bull market. And I was saying to you before we got on the call, I'm not having as much fun as I used to because it used to just be me and a handful of guys looking at these things, and now any sniff of gold is just getting bid up. And yeah, you don't really have time to do proper DD. You just have to hold your nose and buy. So yeah, I'm still having fun, but it was easier before, I guess. So why am I still so wildly bullish on this? So they've put out these wonderful IP sections. There's some corporate updates that's happened as well. Al has sort of grown into his role as a from a oil mogul to a junior mining CEO. I guess the skills are transferable. His pitch, you probably saw the Metal Investment Forum video that came out, caused another 20% increase in the share price. So his pitch has gotten extremely polished, and he's brought on a young, ambitious young geologist called Colin, who speaks GIS. He speaks Leapfrog. And
that was much needed. Wow,
much needed, and you can see it in the deck. It actually looks good now. And I think, was it our first call or our second call? We were kind of laughing at the company, mocking them. And then in subsequent calls, I admitted that I bought it just because of my engagement with the company had been so popular, had been so positive. And then it got really popular. Al kept on doing videos with himself. He did videos with Jesse Day. He did videos, I guess, with the Crash Labs guys. I'm not sure. And Chris Paul mentioned it.
Chris Paul basically brought it up saying, hey, I think this company is a joke, but I'm super bullish on it.
Yeah. On the Crash Labs, CJ and the guys. So that just shows the technical merit of the project. When people like Chris, that dude, he has no time, right? He's a full-time CEO. That's why he asked me. He said, Tom, I don't know what's going on in the market. Can you show me some things? And San Lorenzo was one of them. And he fell out of his chair, essentially. So why are these technical dudes excited, and why are you now not bearish but cautious, right? So they've got these are the two latest IP sections, and now you can kind of see that they've been targeting these subvertical things in the IP, and they've been getting hits. They've been getting good hits. You can see in the satellite that the veins are sticking out at surface, and then if you just sort of take the hits from that depth and then run them up to surface, there's no drill control, there's no geological control on these models, but it can give you a feeling for just the sorts of targets. 500 meters long. This one's 500. So I probably got a bit carried away in my allowing the interpolation to stretch that far. So that's just Cerro Blanco. It's hard to say with just 3 holes, but it's very, the other thing you can say, it's very rare for all 3 holes to hit on the first attempt. You've been in the markets longer than me, but as a geologist, I don't think I've ever seen that. It's just like shooting a fish in a barrel out here, and it's partly because of the how well IP is working at Cerro Blanco. And now I was talking to a analyst out of Perth, works for a bank out of Perth, and he's picked up the story, and he thinks I'm wrong, in a bullish way. So he wants to see the company also spend money on this Arco de Oro target.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why are we wasting money out there? It's massively bullish. We need to just be drilling. Why have I got no data for Arco de Oro? Hang on a sec. There's something out there.
Because they've got some really good
It's good hits
over there to the west, and they have a very long strike extent.
Exactly. So this is what this guy's saying. He's like saying you got 1,400 meters of 1,400 meters of strike length. All of them have hit. Okay, there they are. Basically, every hole's hit, and he can see 1 million ounce potential just at Arco de Oro. So then you go, all right, what's 1 million ounces worth amongst some of the best mining infrastructure in the world in Chile? Really easy to get to. So that's why he's bullish.
And we're talking about an average grade there on those hits above 5 grams, right?
Yeah, you can see them here: 7 at 4.5, 3 at 11.7, 1.5 meters at almost 60 grams. They're
so really 1 million ounces in a great location, but it's also high grade.
And it's high grade, and then you get Cerro Blanco for free. And the other thing this guy said to me, he's like, have you done your work on, let me get you the name, Caballo
Muerto. This is the sleeper target. Yeah.
This is the sleeper target. So it's like the, what do you call it? The steak knife salesman, right? So, yeah. There's just so much work to be done, and then if you're a copper bull, you can have you've got the Tres Amigos as well. So incredibly exciting story developing. They take criticism, so they're kind of coachable in a way. Al said to me, and I think he said this publicly, so I'm not giving away anything that he didn't want to share. He's like, you know what? I shouldn't have told the market I wasn't going to raise, right? Because now he's, like you said, now his market cap 60 million. It wouldn't be that dilutive for him to take some money before results come out at Cerro Blanco, but he seems
right. This is another negative point where I can play devil's advocate. So the company owes him like $2 million. So the company has debt, which is always not a great situation. But we like Al, so we trust him. And there's the debt is convertible into equity, so it's not a huge deal, but a little unusual. And I think serious players would prefer to not see any debt on the balance sheet in any of these transactions, between the founder and the CEO. Just go to the market and do a proper raise, but like you said, he is a man of his word, and he said, I'm not going to do it until drilling. So he feels like he can't now.
That's right.
But they should do a proper financing of at least $5 or $6 million, so the company has some actual money in the treasury, and it's not this hand to mouth thing. So which
was like, it wasn't even that long ago, Rob, like 3 months ago, they were basically insolvent. And he was, that takes, balls of steel, doesn't it? No, we're onto something good here.
Well, he knows how much he's got in his personal bank account, so he feels another level of confidence. But it's still, so let's talk about it. Like, I get that 62 million. We just talked about Prospector, almost 200 million. It's not so the 62 million CAD is not an enormous market cap, but it's some real money, and it's showing that the market is giving this company some credit for being a real company and having a very high potential asset in Chile, don't you think they should just bite the bullet and just do the financing and run it properly, bring aboard a younger VPX and like build this team out a bit more, right? Because we can't bid this thing up to 100 million, Tom, when it's still not acting like a serious company, can we?
No, it's a global market. Anything's possible, but no, you're right. And I'll send him the video once it's out, so he will watch this and he'll take that well-meant criticism on board. And I think they're not impossible hurdles when you've got an asset of this quality, right? These sort of I wrote a tweet. What was it? It's like tier one assets. No, what is it? Tier one assets attract good management. Tier two assets need good management, right? So that means and this has tier one potential. So it will. An ambitious young CEO looking to make it. This is a career maker for someone. So they should be able to pull someone in.
What's the latest update you heard? Is the drill turning officially now at the Cerro Blanco?
Not yet. Ask Al. I think he's gonna. I don't know if he's guided, so I'm not comfortable saying. But there's a lot of work happening.
I heard that the drill pad was being constructed.
Yeah,
and it was going to be
there.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's just a matter of walking the rigs out, assuming it's on tracks. I don't know, driving or walking the rig out.
Okay. And this phase of drilling, so I guess they got $1.5 million in the treasury, which must feel like all the money in the world to these guys. But
they're running on already ranked, so they could drill for 2 years on that. But best case scenario, they can get a hole out in what, 8 weeks, 10 weeks time, and then they can raise. Yeah.
Okay. So do we know exactly where the first hole is going to be drilled at?
Yeah, they've. I don't think I brought those exact maps in, but the folks will be able to get it on the new Prezzo. They're targeting these IP lines, and the new Geo Colony took me through the logic. I think it's these little pimples out here that he wants to test.
Yeah,
and the logic was sound. And my only feedback was like, well, look, you've got 3 hits already. We need to be also testing the continuity of these structures as well. And he got it immediately.
Yeah. Okay. So at Cerro Blanco, we're going to do up to 5 holes this phase. Is that the plan?
I thought 3.
3. Yeah.
I thought 3. I need to do that work. I can plot up the plan holes in Leapfrog and then.
So what I remember Al saying in Vancouver was, we're definitely going to do 3, but there's a possibility that it could go to 4 or 5.
Yeah, and I think that's sensible. You can kind of be results dependent. They're really very bullish. I think it's on this particular IP anomaly, which is fine. So IP has been working for them. One thing that Colin pointed out to me that wasn't immediately obvious, the stretch on these sections are different. It goes from 0 to 10 here, so 10's pink. And on this one, it's going from 0 to 5. So he's really keen on these. On this section is red. He's really keen on the 5s. There's something about that, geophysical signature that is for him super bullish.
It's interesting because IP, some of this chargeability stuff is a little subtle. And for example, in Idaho at Hercules, these numbers are 20, 30. In some areas, they're 40. But the background rock is also higher, right? So it's all relative. So like 5 might be a strong anomaly here.
Yeah, exactly right. So geologists, we call geophysicists spoon benders, right? So you can. So if there's someone coming to site, we go, the spoon benders are coming, and then All the Aussie geos will know what you mean. And then we also call IP indicator of pyrite. So there's been
Yes.
careers, hundreds of millions of dollars and millions of geologists' man hours wasted on drilling fucking IP anomalies, right? But no, that's too cynical a take. And it's about reading these subtle signatures and helping it map out geology and structure, and then understanding how the mineralization, where it's sitting, the geometry in relation to these geological units and the structure that cutting through it all. So IP is another tool. It's a hard, expensive game. So you need to use every tool available to you, and all of geophysics it is an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. But what's amazing is we have drilling here. We have lots of drilling now at this point, and it's proving out that following these chargeability anomalies is working.
That's right.
And the gold is coincident with the pyrite here in the Lorenzo project.
Yeah. I actually don't even know if it's pyrite, but it probably is. The indicator of pyrite.
Indicator of pyrite, IP. All right, Hercules. So we got to talk about Hercules. So there's a few updates since last time. So in August, unveiling this MT survey, this anomaly that showing up in the southern flats. It's an anomaly like I've almost never seen before. And then we got the first drill result of the season, hole 2502. So what's your take on Hercules now, Tom?
I'm still bullish. So what I wanted to see in hole 2, and Chris I think he was ambitious for that hole, right? He wanted to test the hanging wall and the footwall. So I was disappointed by what we got in the hanging wall, so the right-hand side, but I was extremely pleased with what we got in the footwall. So I think all that was, that was essentially the first hole of the year. And Chris really wanted to knock it out of the park, and he did. But I wanted to see more from the hanging wall. The reason for that is
he missed the hanging wall, right?
He just sniffed it. You can see it in the assays.
Yeah.
There's a shallow hit. I do have but I won't pull it up again. But the hanging wall that he hit it, you can see it in the assay results. And then
he hit it, but just a sniff of it. Yeah. Just
the western edge of it. And then what is from that same pad, there's a fan of holes. So the rest of the holes from that northern end will test the hanging wall. So that's gonna be that almost, that's going to be that critical shallow mineralization, right? And then the huge, where all the big tons are, maybe also lower grade, that's going to have to be some sort of block cave type arrangement. That's down there in the footwall, and certainly in the grades in that hole too got better. Now what the unknown is, the blue sky, the sort of the ace in the hole is the donut, and then is it hole 7, the southernmost hole that he's currently got drilled, and then the donut anomaly. So that'll be the next cab off the rank, and that's partly logistical. They've lost access to the state forest land, So now they can go and test these other anomalies. IDEX kind of disappointed in their breccia. I don't know if that's not the end of that project. The management are still keen for people to pay attention because of the follow-up holes. But yeah, they I don't know. They talked a big story, and then the holes were just okay, weren't they? So yeah.
Well, they've only announced. I think with IDEX, they've only announced one hole so far.
There's only one, and it just, for me, that's even more bullish Hercules, right? And even more bullish Scout, because it just shows how prospective the belt is, right? There's just mineralization everywhere. It's still extremely early days. Like, what's the total? Is it 30 holes into Leviathan, ignoring the silver drilling? So we're still super early days. It took 60 holes to find Ridgeway in Cadia Valley. And then it might even be in 100 holes. There's a good paper in the academic literature about the discovery of Ridgeway.
Ridgeway, yeah, I feel like that was hole 100 or 110. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a belt. It's a big belt, and they got all that Barrett ground now. Great team, good CEO, good support from Scout. One has to say, Curtis and Chris worked together really well. I met Curtis for the first time at Beaver Creek. So yeah,
very good,
exciting.
And Scout is about to start drilling at Climax. So if you look at the bigger property package there between Cuddy Mountain and Hercules, you'll notice that the Climax target at Cuddy Mountain is pretty much adjacent to what Hercules calls Southern Flats, and kind of it trends on to Southern Flats. So that'll be interesting to see the drilling at Climax. And obviously there's drilling at Southern Flats. So the latest news we have is there's 2 holes going down in the Southern Flats area, hole 16 and 22. But it looks like they posted a tweet of a pre-caller down there. So there's probably going to be a 3rd hole going there pretty soon. And that's targeting this big MT anomaly. What are your thoughts on that MT anomaly, and what is it showing down there?
I just spent 20 minutes sort of hanging shit on geophysics, right? So I guess it's super interesting. I've just had my heart broken too often by geophysicists. So I really want to see what really, when you get that confluence. I think I've said this to you before, of geophysics, geochemistry, and geology. When they all come together, that's when I'm getting really excited. Yeah. So yeah, they've certainly got you could even argue there's some good geochemistry there. It's kind of masked by the basalt cap, right? But just need to drill it.
Okay, so let's unpack it a little bit more. So we learned a couple months ago in a news release that the first hole down there, hole 2506, got through the cover. It got through the volcanic ash, as you call it.
Yeah.
But it didn't get much further. So I don't know whether they got 50 meters into the Triassic or 100 meters into it. But they basically, according to what we know, they got into the pyrite halo of a porphyry down there at 800 meters deep, right? And then they lost the hole. They switched out a rig, blah blah blah. We don't really have an update since
but then.
They
drilled. But what I'm seeing here on the map is they actually, the end of hole was 934 meters. So they must have added some more meters with the Scout drill rig, yeah.
Hole 2506.
Oh, didn't have 06.
Yeah, it TD'd at 825.
825. Okay, sorry.
Oh yeah, you're talking about hole 7.
Thinking
So that's
hole
different.
7.
Yeah. So hole 6, based upon my conversations with Chris, I think he basically said they got into the pyrite halo there in that hole, and then they lost it, right? So, but they got into the right age rocks, which was a breakthrough because there's a lot of cover down there. And there's a porphyry down there, right? So they have and then in my latest interview with him, which is on the YouTube channel, he basically kept saying the same thing over again. Like, we know there's a porphyry down there. It's going to come down to grade. So when it's 700 or 800 meters deep and it's covered by all that younger rock, what kind of size and grade do you think that we need to see down there for this to be economic?
Yeah, I mean, there's a really good comp Ivanhoe Electrics, help me out
Went
with
to
the name
Cruz.
of Santa Cruz. You know, if we can sort of hit some metrics like that project, you know, we're off and running. Now there are people that are critical of Santa Cruz as well, too deep, right? But you know, if you can get a big porphyry that's 2%, you know, or you know, even an enriched zone that's 2%, that's a bit smaller. You can make money there. So yeah, I mean, there are high grade porphyries that are also deep. The famous one, Oyu in Mongolia, Hugo Dummets, which is the deeps of Oyu Turquoise Hill. So that's yeah, they're some of the biggest, highest margin mines in the world.
Yeah, so you sort of feel the same way I do about this, where I've had my heart broken so many times by good-looking geophysical targets that I don't want to get too hyped up about it. But I must say, everything I learn about this target location and the trend it's on, there's a couple of regional fault structures that are cutting through there at Southern Flats, and it's.
So what's he telling us with these blue collars 16 and 22? Is that he wants to go to 1,200 meters?
Those are underway. Yeah, those holes have been underway for weeks or over a month.
Deep holes, man.
Yeah, so this is testing the full depth extent of that MT anomaly, right? So if you look at it, if you look at the other news release where he showed a few different diagrams of the MT. He's trying with these 1,200 meter holes. He's trying to test the full extent of the donut anomaly. Is what they're calling it.
I know.
And
the core photo, the core looks great. There's that. What hole is that from? That one's from
2502.
Okay. Here with the chalcocite.
The covalite, chalcocite, bornite, chalcopyrite. Yeah, there's a who's who of copper sulfides.
Right. The supermodels.
That's some nice stuff. Yeah. So we are due another update here soon, and I know everybody's going to want to. I mean, I clued in on 2507 too. Like, I think that's a really important hole. And they drilled it deep.
934 meters. Yeah. So I think they also hit pyrite. So there was a very technical update that Chris put out earlier in the year, which showed the rationale of this pyrite halo. It was put together by an academic geologist, name fails me, but he's very bullish. He knows he's super proximal to mineralization when he's in the pyrite.
Yeah, so that's a big clue. That's a big clue. We'll have to see. All right, final topic, because we could go on and on. Let's talk about Andina. This one used to be called Pampa Metals. What's going on with Andina? Are you still bullish?
Yeah, massively bullish. It's super exciting. So, the three main projects. Well, the reason the stock's running is Cabrasco in Colombia. That's super exciting. They've got 2.5. I always say 2.5. It's technically 3 holes into the Cabrasco system. Again, they all hit. We're talking, large scale porphyry target at surface. And then they've got the Pekingese project, which is literally sitting on the border of Aldi's Altar deposit. And then they've got, the wild card, again, the third stake knife is the Pampa Medina project, which is adjacent to Marimaca's wonderful new discovery in Chile. So yeah, they've got a full quiver of projects that need more work.
They need more work. They need a drill. So Cabrasco, I know things are a little more delicate there. It needs to be advanced carefully.
That's right.
But from my understanding, we shouldn't be too far away from a drill there, right?
Yeah, that's right. So if you follow Jordan Webster, geolog or trader on Twitter, he's kind of like live tweeting his, his good work program amongst pictures of steak and cricket and all that good stuff. He's become a friend. So he's been contracted for a season of field work. So I know he's on the ground at Cabrasco East right now. And then also cleaning up the drill pad and getting ready. It's heavily supported, so it's a lot of work getting these things cleaned up and ready. And you know that they won't rush. They're a very methodical team, and they're not going to risk the project from a legal standpoint. So they're going to take their time, and they're going to tell us when the rig's turning. And there's a bunch of, I mean, that's exciting in itself, but the thing's going to go to the TSX-V soon. You know, the group, they're essentially Australian. Tony Manini, the chairman, he's a famous Australian geologist, lives in Melbourne. He's one of the principals at EMR Capital. Joe lives in Melbourne. Bryce Roxburgh, the guy that was running rugby resources that Andina at the time were called Pampar bought.
Right.
It's getting convoluted, the story. Lives in Australia, and he's still a big shareholder. He's also on the board. So you know, you can see where I'm going. It just makes sense. This is an ASX story as well.
Yeah.
So I believe the plan is, you know, get that drill rig turning, get something that investors can look at, and then get it on the ASX as well. So that's a very explosive combination, all that.
Tabasco is pretty exciting because it's not just the central area where rugby drilled the 2.5 holes that all hit. And actually, hole 3 was terminated on a cliffhanger. It terminated in like 3% copper mineralization. So
yeah,
it's
0.7 was the grade. So yeah, I mean, they just need to finish that hole, right? That proves to the doubters that they can drill, right? And then it's like, for a geologist, you know, management say, oh, you know, we need a VPX. I'm like, why? This is like shooting fish in a barrel. Just get Jordan out there. You know, he's a gun for hire, right? He has a very nice life in Argentina. So yeah, you got to get him into the field, get him working, and then it's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's just drill. Their neighbor, Rio Tinto on the southern border, done that at Comitar. I don't know. I think they're up to 30-odd holes there with some really good results. That's private, so you can't see the results. But yeah, it just shows you can operate there. And super exciting, massive system. These projects were not advanced while Chile was booming. There just wasn't the political landscape and the narco history, all that stuff. You know, it's not my area to comment on, but for all those reasons, nothing to do with geology. For all the political macro reasons, these things weren't getting advanced when other parts of South America were. So now it's Colombia's time.
It's Colombia's time, and I believe there will be a transition of power, of presidential power next year, hopefully for the better, and that could just make Cabrasco that much more valuable. And I must say that looking at, you know, the Andina project portfolio, that's a, you know, 3 very solid, actually very promising projects in one company. You know, there's a lot to like there. Obviously, the TSXV uplisting is an important thing because a lot of people don't like the CSE or they can't buy on the CSE or whatever. And then obviously
the institutional guys can't. It's a liquid, and it's a tier 2 borsa. So yeah, you'll start seeing that bigger money looking at it. And then if the Aussies are going to love this as well. So
Yeah, it's a great story for Australia audience. Final question, we'll wrap it up, Tom. So I kind of put you on the spot here. What is something that you see in news releases from junior mining companies that you're really tired of and needs to go?
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, what's something that you really like to see in a news release from a junior mining company?
Yeah. I guess you asked me last time, and I said I don't want to see any more sub-million-ounce gold projects in Quebec and in the Pilbara. And all those things have been ripping. You know, if you had just focused on that subset, you would have made way more money than me.
So just fade your call there.
Yeah, exactly. Made my call. But what I personally, almost the first thing I do is I go looking for data. Yeah. And I get the drill data and I stick it, if I like it, if I think it's worth the effort, I stick it into Leapfrog. So they just need to make it as easy for me to do that as possible. And this sort of thing is not becoming, it used to be rare when I first started 4 years ago. Maybe I was the only guy doing it. And then Panda Pete started doing it, and funds have started doing it, and brokers have started doing it on behalf of their clients to sell the projects, sell shares. And so yeah, they just need to make access to data as frictionless as possible, as seamless as possible, so that we can kind of make our own decision. And it's almost, if companies are making it difficult, why? They're making it difficult because they're kind of hiding something in the data. They're drilling down dip, or they're twinning historical holes, or all the tricks better than me because you've been around so long. But yes, but the data is where you can that's where you get down to some truths.
Yeah. We're basically investors. We're basically, investing in data,
They say that's our IP. It's like, no. Your IP is protected by the tenure. You hold the title to the land. The government's giving you the title. That's your IP. The data is ours. The data is the investors.
Yeah. Well, it's true, but if, like, for example, you gave the example of the Rio Tinto private company that's neighbors to Andina, they're not putting out their data because they don't have to, right?
Yeah, they don't have to. And actually, you could argue Cometa, it's not yet material. We were talking about this right at the start, materiality, right? So the ASX, where's Rio listed? ASX in London, is it?
It's on the NYSE too.
It's okay. So those three exchanges, they're not gonna slap them on the wrist and say, oh, people have told me that you made a discovery in Colombia, you need to release the results, right? Because it's just not material to their market cap.
Right.
But for Andina, it certainly is material. So they're obliged to announce.
Absolutely. All right, Tom, thank you so much for your time. This was a very enjoyable conversation. Cheers.
Thanks, Robert. Cheers.